Hello dear viewers, and welcome back to the channel where we dive deep into the fascinating, sometimes tumultuous world of the British monarchy and the global figures who shape history. Today, we are dissecting a moment of profound historical significance that was regrettably overshadowed by a single highly controversial logistical decision. We are talking about the recent landmark visit of King Charles Roman III, accompanied by his esteemed consort Camilla, to the very heart of the Catholic world, the Holy See. This was a pilgrimage of immense historical weight, culminating in a momentous meeting with the Supreme Pontiff, Pope Leo XIV. While the world watched this unprecedented display of unity, hoping for a narrative focused purely on reconciliation and shared global values, an unexpected storm brewed online, turning the spotlight from historic handshake to an embarrassing public relations nightmare involving a very specific, very expensive automobile. Before we delve into the details of this controversy, and trust me, the public reaction was visceral, do remember to show your support by tapping that like button, subscribing to our channel for more exclusive royal insights, and ringing the notification bell so you never miss an update. Your engagement truly helps us continue bringing you these detailed reports. The visit itself was designed to be a triumph of diplomacy and faith. King Charles and Queen Camilla undertook a significant two-day visit to Vatican City, a diplomatic mission that had been carefully orchestrated for months. The primary objective was a face-to-face meeting between the monarch and Pope Leo XIV. This encounter was destined to make history, not just for the meeting of two major global religious and secular leaders, but for the specific shared action they undertook. The culmination of the visit saw King Charles and Pope Leo XIV achieve a rare, almost unbelievable milestone. They became the first reigning monarch and pontiff to engage in joint prayer together in a staggering 500 years. Think about that time frame for a moment. 5 centuries since the seismic schism of the Reformation fractured Western Christianity. Such an intimate and spiritually unified public display between the head of the Anglican faith and the Vicar of Christ had simply not occurred. This act of shared devotion was a powerful, tangible symbol of ecumenical unity, signaling a renewed commitment to healing historical divisions and looking forward with shared purpose. The overarching themes articulated during this remarkable summit were twofold: profound religious unity and, crucially, a shared commitment to environmental stewardship. The spiritual centerpiece of the visit was an ecumenical service held within the breathtaking confines of the Siena Chapel, a setting that only amplified the solemnity and gravity of the proceedings. The theme chosen for this service was particularly pointed and relevant to the modern era: care for creation. This theme was, of course, a natural fit for King Charles Roman III. For decades, long before he ascended the throne, Charles cultivated a reputation as a passionate and tireless advocate for the natural world. He has been widely regarded and often affectionately referred to as the ultimate royal ecourier. His speeches on climate change, biodiversity loss, and the urgent need for sustainable practices have been extensive, consistent, and globally influential. He has persistently warned governments and corporations about the catastrophic consequences of inaction, positioning himself as a moral voice on planetary health. Given this history, the expectation was that the Vatican visit would solidify his standing as a global environmental leader, utilizing the moral authority of the Church to amplify the climate message. However, in a truly ironic twist of fate, it was this very focus on environmental responsibility that led to the immediate and ferocious public backlash. The precise moment the controversy ignited involved what was intended to be a quiet, routine logistical maneuver. It was revealed that King Charles had elected to transport his personal custom-wheeled Bentley motorcar across international borders, flying it specifically to Italy for his use during the short duration of the two-day visit. To the environmentally conscious public, this decision, flying a massive luxury vehicle thousands of miles for what amounted to a brief series of drives within Rome and Vatican City, was perceived as a staggering, undeniable act of hypocrisy. It suggested in the eyes of many critics that the king was failing to practice the very wisdom he so fervently preached to the rest of the world regarding carbon emissions and responsible travel. The fury was instant and spread rapidly across social media platforms. Users seized upon the detail of the transported Bentley as the perfect symbol of elite detachment and contradictory behavior. One user on X, formerly known as Twitter, identified as Maeve Flanagan, expressed her sheer disbelief, writing, "Shocked that King Charles's Bentley was brought to Rome. Why, surely there are suitable vehicles there." Her shock encapsulated the general bewilderment over the necessity of such an extravagant transport choice. Another user, Sid Noble, was far less reserved in his condemnation, lamenting the situation with a stark accusation. "Hypocrites, all of them." Noble continued his scathing assessment, directly addressing the king, "Our Mr. Green lecturing King Charles flew his Bentley to the Vatican. Absolutely shameful. Don't ever preach to us again about climate issues, Charlie boy. We are not listening." The dismissive, almost contemptuous tone of the final phrase underscored a deep sense of public betrayal and frustration directed at the perceived disconnect between the royal lifestyle and the environmental sacrifices ordinary citizens are increasingly expected to make. The core of the outrage lay in the optics. How could a man who commands the world to reduce its carbon footprint justify the use of private air transport solely for the movement of his personal car, especially when the purpose of the trip was to discuss care for creation? The internet quickly became a battleground for this debate, highlighting the stark contrast between the king's actions and the efforts of the common citizen. One particularly resonant comment captured this dichotomy perfectly, detailing the mundane yet persistent efforts of individual environmental responsibility. The user wrote scathingly about how they have been washing out my yogurt pots and diligently recycling only to witness the king flying, privately lugging his massive big car with him. This comparison resonated deeply, crystallizing the public feeling that the burden of climate responsibility is unfairly distributed, with the elite exempting themselves from the very standards imposed upon others. However, as is often the case in these swift public reckonings, there were crucial nuances and mitigating factors that were initially drowned out by the noise of outrage. A few users attempted to inject factual context into the heated discussion, pointing out that the decision was rooted in a larger long-term sustainability strategy for the royal fleet. One user specifically highlighted that the vehicle, the custom-wheeled Bentley, operates on specialized biofuels. This operational detail was cited as part of a broader initiative to make the royal fleet more environmentally friendly, suggesting that the car itself, while large, represents an effort towards sustainable motoring. The argument followed that by utilizing this specialized vehicle, Charles was actually showcasing the potential of advanced low-carbon fuel alternatives rather than simply indulging in extravagance. Furthermore, the issue of royal security was immediately raised as a primary driver for the decision. A user identified as a pyrotechnician offered a professional perspective, explaining that it is not uncommon world leaders to have an armored vehicle transported specifically for their use during international travel. This measure is often deemed essential, providing security teams with absolute familiarity and confidence in the vehicle's specific protective capabilities, countermeasures, and maintenance history. Elements that cannot be guaranteed with an unfamiliar, locally sourced motor car. The king's security detail would naturally prioritize his safety above all else, often making the transport of a certified armored vehicle a non-negotiable requirement. Yet even these rationalizations failed to quell the brewing rage. For every person citing the security measures, there were many others who argued that this explanation lacked logical credibility. Critics claimed vehemently that surely within a major European capital city like Rome, or even through established diplomatic channels at the Holy See, there must have been a suitable, secure, and armored vehicle available. They questioned the necessity of the king's personal car for what would likely be a series of very short, highly protected drives between the airport, the Vatican, and potentially a residence. The argument became one of optics versus necessity. Could not the king have made a powerful symbolic gesture by utilizing a local, perhaps even electric or hybrid vehicle, thereby prioritizing the environmental message over the minor inconvenience of adapting to a different armored transport? The incident created a significant public relations headache, completely hijacking the intended narrative of the historic visit. And this perhaps is the greatest irony of all. It is widely understood that King Charles had earnestly hoped that his high-profile visit to the Vatican would serve as a powerful distraction, a much-needed positive headline to steer global attention away from the relentless, often damaging domestic drama plaguing the monarchy. Specifically, the king was hoping to avoid further coverage regarding his embattled and shamed brother, Prince Andrew, and the seemingly endless cycle of family controversies that have dominated royal headlines for years. The visit was intended to project stability, international relevance, and moral leadership. Instead, the king inadvertently created a major public distraction, entirely of his own making. By authorizing the transportation of his Bentley, Charles handed critics a powerful, easily digestible, and internationally resonant example of perceived to hypocrisy. The very symbol of environmental stewardship he sought to champion was instantly undermined by the visible act of luxury transportation. This was a public relations misstep that was entirely avoidable. Something the king and his advisors may not have anticipated would so swiftly overshadow the profound historical and spiritual achievements of the meeting with Pope Leo XIV. The event therefore stands as a stark reminder of the unique challenges faced by modern monarchs. Every decision, no matter how small or logistically motivated, is scrutinized through the dual lenses of environmental responsibility and public accountability. For the equerry King Charles, the lesson of the Bentley is clear. In the age of climate anxiety, symbolism often trumps security, and actions must always align perfectly with the message. This episode certainly gives us much to reflect upon regarding the intersection of royal tradition, modern environmental imperatives, and the unforgiving nature of public opinion. What are your thoughts on this contentious decision? Do you believe the security and biofuel justifications were sufficient to warrant flying the Bentley across Europe? Or do you agree with the public critics who saw this as an undeniable act of hypocrisy that stained a historically significant visit? Please share your perspectives in the comments section below. We always appreciate hearing your nuanced views on these complex issues. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us again soon as we continue to track the latest developments concerning the monarchy and the global figures who define our times. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next